Welcome, everyone. I'm Josh Larky. This is the Dominator. We are going to be streaming a draft on Underdog Fantasy today for Best Ball Mania. Will we turn $25 into $1.5 million? Probably not, but there's a chance. There's a chance. That's why we always keep coming back. We love the platform. We love the interface. If anyone has any questions in the comments as we're going through the stream, I am happy to answer, whether it is about best ball specifically, whether it is about your home league redraft, whatever it might be, any questions about fantasy rankings, anything like that, I am happy to help. It looks like we drew the 110. Now, not my favorite draft spot, but we've had some success. I'd say right now for anyone out there that's like, Josh, what is your ideal draft slot then? It's generally like the 104 to 106. And the three players that I often find myself really trying to target in that range would be Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson at running back, and then Jamar Chase at wide receiver. Now, for Bijan and Breece, they look just like 101 type picks from past years where it's these young running backs. We always like to take a running back, pick one. That's just kind of the old school mentality. And you know what? When you have a young, explosive, all-purpose back like Bijan or Breece, where it's a good offense, the offensive line should be quite good, then why not pull the trigger? We've got two veteran quarterbacks that are good coming off of Achilles tears. They're going to check the ball down often. And I'm going to get this draft started. We're going to stream this. So let's see. We are on the clock in 4 picks. So far, nothing too crazy has happened to McCaffrey, Lamb, Tyreek, Jefferson, Breece Hall, Jamar Chase. It's kind of just how it's been going. So I wouldn't say there's any massive, crazy reaches, crazy picks there. But anyway, a lot of people out there have given me pushback to Breece Hall, and they go, Josh, I saw the offensive line last year, and that's why I'm scared. Well, first off, Breece Hall averaged 4.5 yards per carry last year. So, I mean, even if the offensive line didn't improve, it's not like his efficiency was being throttled by that. And then if we look at the Jets offseason, they have new key free agent additions at left tackle and right tackle. They spent a lot of money this offseason, so they have 2 bookend tackles. Both are projected to be above average by all the offensive line gurus. And then they get Elijah Vera Tucker back at guard, and he's above average at guard. So we've talked before about how the Falcons look like they're kind of fortifying the offensive line. Well, the Jets did the same thing. They just did it a little more quietly. And I like what we're seeing now. So, all right, we got Amon-Ra St. Brown at pick 7, Bijan Robinson at 8. We've got someone on the clock. S. Rome at 9 took A.J. Brown. I'm just talking about the Jets right now. I think we'll just take Garrett Wilson at 10. And I'm perfectly happy taking him there. I wouldn't say it feels quite as sexy to me as when I get Bijan, Breece, or Chase. So I'll talk about Chase in just a minute after I make this next pick. But I think with Garrett Wilson, what's nice about Garrett Wilson is that the guy, and folks, I'm not looking at any notes during this, so this is top of the head. So if I say the number 4 and the number's 5, I apologize. Top of my head, I believe Garrett Wilson was 4th in the NFL last year in targets. Obviously, he did not finish 4th in fantasy points per game, but there's still not much target competition. Aaron Rodgers is such a massive upgrade there. And now we're back on the clock. I've been buying the dip on Jahmyr Gibbs. My understanding is that he might just play week 1 with the hamstring injury. I think he's going to. We're just going to take him right now at pick 15. He was going at pick 10, 11, 12 earlier in the summer. Really nothing changed other than a minor hamstring injury, which I'm not actually quite sure what the severity of it is. I'm not going to try to postulate on that. But the fact that the team wasn't particularly concerned about his week 1 availability, in a vacuum, would I prefer that he didn't have that hamstring injury preseason? Does it mean that he's more likely to have a hamstring injury during the season? Yes. But that maybe should matter in your home league, in a redraft league where there's 12 teams. Then I really start to understand it, where I'm like, okay, you want to finish first out of 12. We don't need to thread the needle too much. But folks, Best Ball Mania, it's a $25 entry. There's a crazy prize pool overall. First place gets $1.5 million. This type of format, I don't quite understand when people are nitpicking some of these random injuries and they're like, well, the doctor that I follow on Twitter said there's a 10% chance that his hamstring gets re-injured. And you know what? I think that's great research for your redraft league where I'm like, cool, that should factor in. When there's 672,672. So hundreds of thousands, 672,000 entrants into Best Ball Mania. Do you think I'm going to be concerned about a 10% likelihood or 20% likelihood of recurrence, re-injury, whatever it might be? No, I'm not going to be particularly concerned with that type of outcome because I'm trying to win all the money. I'm trying to have a really, really good team. I'm not super concerned as well about week one. Even if Jahmyr Gibbs misses week one, the prize structure, it's a 14-week regular season, so I have 13 weeks to make up for that week one if I had to. And then weeks 15, 16, 17 is really where all the money is won. We're going to do a little multitask right now. Let me see if I can pull up the actual specific numbers because that can help sometimes to contextualize this. So you're in your 12-person draft room for weeks 1 through 14. Week 15, you're now in a 13-person group. And you need to be number 1 out of 13. So you're basically winning your league, or you're finishing top 2 in your league weeks 1 through 14. You have to win your league in week 15 out of 13. Then it's a 16-person group for the next round. Once again, you need to finish number 1 out of 16, and then you go to a 539-person final. So really where the money's won is 539 people, but as we know, it's kind of this iterative process to get there. So again, 539 people in that final week. Should I really be concerned about whether or not Jahmyr Gibbs or any of these players is going to play for week 1? Not particularly. It's different if it's like, oh, this is an injury where we don't know if they're going to return in September, October, whatever it might be. But in general, I really don't think we should be drafting scared is ultimately what I'm saying. That's a long-winded way of saying that I took Jahmyr Gibbs at, what is it? I'm talking about Breece Hall before. I took Jahmyr Gibbs at pick 15, and damn it, that feels good. We're about to be back on the clock, and we've got Jahmyr Gibbs, Detroit Lions. We got Garrett Wilson, New York Jets. I'm looking right now at Tank Dell. I've just taken so much Tank Dell. I really like that Tank Dell is a young receiver who has spike week potential. The other one that's interesting to me potentially would be Josh Allen, where we stack some Bills, and then we have the nice little run back of Garrett Wilson of the Jets for week 17. I think we might be able to sneak Josh Allen with the next pick. We're going to take Tank Dell there. I've just taken a lot of Tank Dell. I know some people are concerned about who's playing in 2 receiver versus 3 receiver sets with the Texans. Ultimately, Stephon Diggs looked cooked for the second half of last year. He's 30 years old. He's never played with CJ Stroud. Tank Dell had one of the most impressive rookie seasons of the past decade. When you look at yards per game, once he got acclimated, when you look at fantasy points per game, Tank Dell was truly a stud. So I think trying to fade someone like Tank Dell because of target competition, I think that's kind of bad process when we just saw the guy absolutely smash in fantasy. We have Jalen Hurts going at pick 36 at the turn. Rashee Rice just went to pick 35. Right now, we just need J.H. Boyflow to not take Josh Allen. And then maybe we'll just take Josh Allen and we'll kind of hope that we can grab some Bills and then we can start to stack 1 or 2 Bills with a Garrett Wilson Jets run back and build out that week 17 game stack for if and only if we get to that 539-person final, then we are well prepared. We're going to go ahead and take that Josh Allen pick right there. We now have Josh Allen at quarterback, Jahmyr Gibbs at running back. We've got Garrett Wilson and Tank Dell at receiver. I'm feeling pretty good about this. We're going to need some more receiver firepower, but I like that I have 2 young guys that I have some confidence in. I generally try to have 3, sometimes 4 receivers by the 5th, 6th round. You really want to make sure you're getting a lot of them in early. Right now, I'm not too concerned because I think I'm going to take at least 1 more receiver at the 5-6 turn, if not 2 more receivers there. I just generally don't want to have 1 receiver through 4 rounds. That's when I think the catch-up can't quite happen. The way I see it is that Garrett Wilson and Tank Dell are going to be scoring some serious fantasy points late in the season. It's start 3 receivers, so you need at least 3 receivers When you have 2 receivers locked and loaded, I'm like, okay, worst case, I'm cobbling together a wide receiver 3 in the money weeks. But if I only had 1 receiver through 4 rounds, then I'm like, oh man, what are we cobbling together 2 receiver spots? We still have to worry about the flex, and it starts to get a little bit complicated. It starts to become a little bit of a headache. I don't really like that. I'm a simple guy. We're just going to make sure that we get our receivers in early. We've got Andre in the chat. What's good, bro, asterisk. What's good, bro? It's good to see you, Andre, on a Sunday. Thanks for joining me. I was hoping to do this draft a little bit earlier in the week, but I just got back at 6 a.m. this morning, was on a red eye from a vacation. So running on a little bit less sleep than normal. Decided I've brought my mic setup before on vacation, and I've done vacation streams, but I don't think they go as well. The internet can be a little shaky. Sometimes I just want to be on my home base. You got to be on your home base for this. Got 12 picks, 11 picks remaining now. Let's see. Dalton Kincaid, his ADP is 52. My next pick is 58. I don't think I'm getting Dalton Kincaid, folks, but we can try. We're gonna feign confidence with this one. So we'll sort of see what happens here. Checking out to see if there's any comments anywhere else on this one. All right, we are back up in 8 picks. We had Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes go. All the elite quarterbacks are going off the board at this point. We've got, let's see if there's any early stacks. Let me glance at the draft board here. We've got Lamar, Mark Andrews. That's kind of I like the 1 start a decent amount because they've got Lamar and Andrews, and they've got McCaffrey in there. Adams Neighbors is interesting at the turn. 2 guys that I'm not necessarily in love with in half PPR format at the turn, but it's okay. I do not like that Dalton Kincaid is now off the board. The mega, the ultra stack will not be happening. James Cook is also off the board. People are taking Bills early. I guess we're going to have to start looking for the Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakirs and start dumpster diving. Although what's nice is that Josh Allen did just tie, and I guess he set and tied in the same season the NFL record for most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback with 15. He and Jalen Hurts both set that record last year. So maybe the thesis behind Josh Allen is that he's just running them all in himself. So not terrible there. The Mahomes team has not stacked yet. Maybe I will be taking some Chiefs away from this guy. Xavier Worthy just went off the board. Jalen Hurts was unstacked as well. It looks like the A.J. Brown drafter did not get Jalen Hurts. It looks like the Devonta Smith drafter did not get Jalen Hurts either. We're on the clock in 1 pick. I'm looking, I like Christian Kirk, Keenan Allen, Jaden Reed. I might take Jaden Reed here or Christian Kirk here. 2 semi-young, still in their prime receivers on offenses that I like. I've talked a few times this summer about how I think the Jaguars kind of have all the pieces to be really good and how Trevor Lawrence has all the pieces to be good. I think there's just been, Jaden Reed goes off the board. We'll just take Christian Kirk there. I also realize I haven't talked about why I like Jamar Chase so much. We'll get to that in just a second. It's a lot to keep up with. But Jaguars, they scored the 13th most points last year. The offensive line was incredibly banged up. Trevor Lawrence himself was dealing with some injuries. Christian Kirk himself was in and out of the lineup with injuries. And still 13th scoring offense. Not bad. Trevor Lawrence feels like he's never quite living up to his potential. But let me look at the Jaguars' offenses really quickly before I'm back on the clock. I want to say they've been like 13th. So they were 13th last year. 2 years ago, they were 10th. That's back-to-back pretty good seasons. So anyone out there, I'm like, come on, what more do you need? All right, we're on the clock again. I'm looking at Kyle Pitts. I'm looking at George Kittle because we've got 3 receivers already that I kind of like. We could also take Brian Thomas to go 2 Jaguars. That feels like a lot. We're going to go George Kittle here. You might say, why not Kyle Pitts? Do you have Kyle Pitts ranked higher, Josh? Yes, folks, I have Kyle Pitts ranked higher, but this is Best Ball Mania. We're trying to get some Week 17 correlation, and I remember that the Lions and the 49ers play each other in Week 17, so we're just going to get that out of the way. We've got Josh Allen. We're going to grab some receivers late, hopefully, for that Bills offense. We've got Garrett Wilson as his run back. And then we've got Jahmyr Gibbs and George Kittle for that little week 17 correlacion. We don't really hate that there. So that feels pretty good. I'm looking right now. We got some more comments. Someone's Nick's in the chat. Yeah, folks, any questions you have, redraft otherwise, I'm happy to help. He says, it's got to be Kyron, but I just want to make sure I'm not an idiot. 10-team half PPR. Should I keep undrafted Kyron Williams or Dalton Kincaid 15th round? Also have Pacheco in the 7th. I'd go undrafted Kyron there. The way that I see it is I want to keep good players. And I think sometimes people get caught up and they're like, well, like this guy's going in his redraft ADP is round 7. I'm keeping him for a 15th rounder. That's 8 rounds of value. And I'm like, yeah, but we also want to win our league. And 7th round picks don't win your league. So here I'd say Kyron Williams, Isaiah Pacheco going a similar round, kind of round 2, round 3 of drafts right now, give or take. So if you have undrafted Kyron or Pacheco for a 7th, I'd just lean the undrafted guy. Yeah, Kincaid has a lot of rounds of value as well. 5th, 6th round pick keeping him for the 15th, but it's just hard when you have a round 2, round 3 type pick with Kyron and Pacheco. I think we just go the undrafted Kyron there. So yeah, I think we keep it simple there. We don't want to overthink it. Brian Masenzo in the chat asked, when's the R class? The R class is there. You can just purchase anytime at thatrcodingsite.com. I do teach R coding with football data on the side. So yeah, you can just purchase that whenever you feel like it. There's the class is just, it's there. So yeah, well, welcome everyone. It's there. Let's start to look at some of these bills. So Keon Coleman, ADP 77. My next pick is at 82. I would love to get a Keon Coleman there. I don't think, with how Bills happy this draft room has been, with all of them going a touch above where they should be going, ADP-wise, if not at ADP, I don't think I'm going to get him. We could always get Jameson Williams for another Lions 49ers player to pair with Jahmyr Gibbs and George Kittle. Ladd McConkey's interesting. Justin Herbert's been practicing. He's playing again. The foot injury, I think, was just kind of a scare. It was a concern, but I think he's fine. So that's kind of an interesting one there. We'll see. We're up in 3 picks. I think if I get Keon Coleman or Ladd McConkey, can't really hate that. Let's see. Yeah, we could always go Jameson Williams for another Lions guy. I don't love him in a vacuum at pick 81. I guess you're kind of rooting for an Amon-Ra injury, which feels a little strange for that pick to really hit. So we'll just sort of see what's going on here. I think Keon Coleman's about to go. Yep, Keon Coleman. I think this dude, is he auto drafting? I think he might be. No, he's taken a couple guys beforehand. He's basically just stacking receivers. That makes sense. Red badge guy, just blindly taking receivers. I hope your team works out for you, sir. You've got a lot of Lions on your team. I would have liked some of those Lions. All right, where JMO goes as well. Okay. Well, we'll take Ladd McConkey. Maybe we'll have some Chargers and some Bills. The Chargers week 17 game's a little gross. It's against the Patriots. We don't love that. Patriots defense might be okay. It might not be. I guess what we're kind of hoping is that we're wrong on the defense and that maybe Drake May by week 17 is just cooking and the Patriots are formidable. But I think in general, the Chargers offense is undervalued. I wrote about it at PlayerProfiler.com. There's a free article up on the site where I just kind of detail why, when you look at the betting markets, when you look at Underdog Fantasy and other redraft ADPs and comparing and contrasting different teams, you'll see that the Chargers are projected to kind of be this fine offense in the NFL this year. They're projected to score I think the betting markets have them scoring the 19th, 20th most points overall. Yet people just hate drafting Chargers on Underdog, and they're going to score some touchdowns. We're going to be back on the clock soon. I'm eyeing DeAndre Hopkins. I think I'm going to buy the dip on him. He's old, he's dusty, but supposedly he could be ready for week 1. So I think we're just going to take him there. I only have 4 receivers, and that just doesn't feel like enough sometimes. Sometimes we just really need, actually, we could take Ramondre Stevenson for the Chargers, Patriots bring back. Yikes. Do we really? Oh my God. I'm going to talk myself into Ramondre Stevenson for a week 17 correlation, like an absolute best ball bro. Or should we buy the dip on DeAndre Hopkins? You know what? Okay. We're week 17 correlating. We took Ramondre Stevenson. That's disgusting. He got his big extension. I guess what we're really hoping is that he just scores all the touchdowns. It's, getting what could be a bell cow back at pick 87, it's not terrible. We got him a few picks after ADP. I think he was going in like the mid 70s a month and a half ago. So we'll just take that. We'll just eat it. We'll take that. I really talked myself into DeAndre Hopkins. I think he and Calvin Ridley should go in the same spot in drafts. Ridley turns 30 soon. Hopkins is 32. When you look at their peripherals, like target share, targets per route run, average depth of target, Hopkins actually looks better by most metrics than Ridley. So I think it's interesting that, Ridley, a little bit younger, but it's not like Hopkins is looking bad peripherals wise in terms of like what's he doing as a receiver at his age. So you know what? Maybe, we'll see what happens. Curtis Samuel's about to go off the board. God, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. Let's hear it from our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. And then we're going to just pray we can get a Khalil Shakir, which feels gross, but Naked Josh Allen might be the name of this podcast. And do I love that? You know what? Who knows?
This episode is made possible by Underdog Fantasy, and Underdog Fantasy is the leader in best ball. When you go to join an Underdog Fantasy best ball draft, it fills very quickly, especially now. It's Best Ball Mania season, baby. Best Ball Mania 5. I can't believe they're at Best Ball Mania 5 already. $15 million in prizes. They're giving out $15 million with $1.5 million to first. Playing in best ball leagues makes you better. It helps train you on player value and strategy. And Underdog offers a lot more than just best ball contests. They offer pick'ems. My new favorite, the golf pick'ems, baseball pick'ems going on throughout the off season. Hit the pick'ems, back to best ball, hit the pick'ems. So use promo code Underworld. Promo code Underworld gets you a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. So they've increased the maximum deposit bonus. It was $100. Now it's up to $125. When you get the Underdog app, use promo code Underworld and go draft your ass off.
Welcome back, folks. I'm Josh Larky. This is the Dominator. We are drafting a Best Ball Mania team. We lost Khalil Shakir and we lost Curtis Samuel. The Bill stacks might be off the board. It's getting a little bit dicey. But I still see some players that I like on the board. We'll see kind of what happens. There's a few running backs I like. We're back up in 4 picks. I like Josh Palmer. We could go a little Chargers double. Chargers double stack with a little Ladd McConkey. That could happen. I don't know what happened to Jalen Warren. I don't think his injury is serious. I don't know what's going on here. He's already falling like a round and a half, 2 rounds. Zach Moss is someone that was going really high in drafts. Now everyone's terrified of Chase Brown. Chase Brown kind of stinks. He's got awful vision. Zach Moss was the 5th or 6th best running back in the NFL last year, according to Next Gen Stats player tracking data. They thought Zach Moss was this revelation. He did some I think he did it. He switched his workouts up before last offseason and then had some serious results. I think, should we go Warren here? You know, with the injury, maybe he'll keep falling. I think I'm going to go Josh Palmer just to get more. We need more. I want more correlation. We're going to take 2 Chargers here. We're going to take Palmer at receiver. We've got 5 receivers now. And I'm going to hope that Jalen Warren or Zach Moss makes it back to me. I really like those guys. I like Brian Robinson too. I will talk about running backs in a second. Here's the team really quick. We've got a naked Josh Allen. You can roast me in the comments. It's pathetic. I hate myself too. But we're bringing him back in week 17 with Garrett Wilson of the Jets. We've got Jahmyr Gibbs and George Kittle. Little Lions-Niners correlation there. We've got a little Ramondre Stevenson, Ladd McConkey, Josh Palmer correlation there. And then we've got a naked Tank Dell and Christian Kirk. I'm feeling pretty good about this team. It's we like to make fun of ourselves here, but really we're just drafting kick-ass teams. That's all we do. So Jalen Warren's still slipping with the injury. I think that's someone that we might have to pull the trigger on if he's there. I also like Zach Moss. Like I said, Chase Brown, I don't quite get it with him. He has upside. It's not that I'm not going to take Chase Brown sometimes, but Zach Moss is an early down grinder back in a great offense. Wouldn't we want that in half PPR format? All right, Jalen Warren just went off the board. Let's see what happens here. I'm hoping for Zach Moss. I could also be talked in to Tajay Spears to correlate with Christian Kirk for week 17, where we're just going to do like these little, nope, Tajay Spears off the board. Makes it easy. We're going to take some Zach Moss. I think at pick 111, getting what I think is the starting running back and one of a potential top 5, top 3 NFL offense feels pretty good in a half PPR format. I just don't know why people are scared of Zach Moss. Maybe it's because his name is Zach Moss. I'm bullish on this Bengals offense for touchdown upside. So I don't know why I wouldn't take it there. Folks, little shameless plug because I'm allowed to. My Twitter is @JLarkyTweets. I have rankings up for redraft, and you can see players I'm targeting, players I'm fading. I've color-coded this whole cheat sheet. It's my pinned tweet. You can go to my link tree on Twitter, and you can get the high-res PDF. The actual screenshot on Twitter isn't being updated because you can't update a screenshot in the tweet. That tweet went viral. It's got 2 million impressions. I'm not going to take the tweet down, but I will update the PDF and then upload that into the link in my link tree. Long-winded way of saying I am updated my rankings if you want to know what's going on there. If you want Player Profiler's rankings, playerprofiler.com. Their rankings are probably going to be better than mine because there's a few people involved there, and more people usually results in better rankings. I'm only one person. It's important to remember wisdom of the crowd, especially a crowd you can trust, will generally win out over an individual. We've got some questions in the chat. This is from Nick, who was talking about keeping Kyren Williams. He said, the only thing holding me up is I really want the Josh Allen Kincaid stack in one league this year. Haha, but not worth giving away Kyren for that. I would agree, Nick. You should just, in that league, just keep Kyren. I love Dalton Kincaid. I think anyone out there wondering, why do we like Dalton Kincaid so much? He might be probably the number one pass game option in an elite offense. That's the upside case. And the fact that he goes as like the tight end 5 by ADP is insane. He's fast. He's going to get targets. I really don't know what I'm missing here with Dalton Kincaid. I think he could finish as the tight end 1 overall. His profile in some ways, like situationally, looks way better than the tight end 1 in ADP, Sam Laporta. Laporta has a worse quarterback, and he's competing with way more dudes for looks. When the Lions get to the end zone, there's David Montgomery, there's Jahmyr Gibbs, there's Amon-Ra St. Brown, there's Jameson Williams. When Dalton Kincaid gets to the goal line, it's mostly Josh Allen. I'm not convinced Curtis Samuel, James Cook, these are not dudes that are taking away those looks. Now, before I get to why I mentioned I was going to mention, Brian Robinson? We're really rapid firing. Before I talk about why I like Brian Robinson, because I did mention his name, Jamar Chase. I talked about him early in the show. Last year, when he was playing with Joe Burrow, before Burrow's injury, Chase was pacing for 130 catches and over 1,550 receiving yards. And he started the season slowly, as did the whole Bengals offense. So in a half season where he began slowly, like that whole offense, he still was on pace for a monster season. Jamar Chase, early 20s. T. Higgins is pretty much the only target competition. There's no more Tyler Boyd there. If you're thinking this running back room looks a little grosser than last year, where there's no more Joe Mixon, there's no Samaje Perine years past, and you're like, ooh, Zach Moss and Chase Brown. I'm like, yeah, that with no more Tyler Boyd could result in like an extra target and a half a game for Jamar Chase. That's all we need to go from, this is the wide receiver 5 in fantasy to wide receiver 1 overall. I'm just really bullish right now on Jamar Chase. We're up in 3 picks. Why do I like Brian Robinson? I like that he's playing with Jaden Daniels, who's super, super mobile. And mobile quarterbacks often create wider running lanes for the running backs. We think about the Lamar Jackson effect. These very average Ravens running backs, just all of them seem to average 4.5 to 5 yards per carry. Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, these dudes always have high yards per carry. I think Brian Robinson, even with a kind of weak offensive line, can do the same. We are back on the clock. I am going to take Brandon Cooks here because he is the wide receiver 2 in a good offense. And you can take him at pick 130. I'm hoping we can sneak either Gabe Davis to go double Jaguar, since we have Christian Kirk already, or should I just pull the trigger on Herbs and go Big Daddy Justin Herbert if he's on the board in 3 picks. I think we're going to go Big Daddy Herbs because the folks know that I like to stack. They're begging for correlation. Because I've got naked Josh Allen just sitting there looking naked, just mooning the society, where we can take Justin Herbert. We'll get Justin Herbert with Ladd McConkey, with Josh Palmer, run it back with Ramondre Stevenson. And I no longer look like I'm new at this because I'm not brand new at this. It's hard on stream. If I don't get Justin Herbert here, we'll take Gabe Davis and we'll just go double Jaguar. I think that's fine. Great. Herbert, welcome to the team. We now have Justin Herbert, and that double stack Charger feels good. So I guess what we're hoping for is the Chargers offense goes brrr, boom, 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 or Josh Allen runs in 2 touchdowns. We just need one of those outcomes each week. I'm already talking myself into why this $25 entry is the $1.5 million entry, and that feels good. That feels good. Right now, because we have a 2-3-6-1 build, we're going to obviously stop at 2 quarterbacks. We don't need another quarterback once we already have Josh Allen and Justin Herbert there. So I think that feels pretty good. At running back, we've got Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre Stevenson, Zach Moss. That kind of sets us up for a 5 running back build if we want. There's some good firepower there. We've got 6 receivers, and I like how this turned out. It didn't feel early on like we were going heavy receiver, and then I look and we've got Garrett Wilson, Tank Dell, Christian Kirk, Ladd McConkey, Josh Palmer, Brandon Cooks. There's no terrible offenses there, and we could have some top 10 offenses with, I think realistically, we're going to get 2 to 3 top 10 offenses out of the Jets, Texans, Jaguars, Cowboys. So that's 4 shots on goal for some high touchdown wide receiver upside in half PPR. And then Ladd McConkey and Josh Palmer get Justin Herbert. And Justin Herbert with a really good offensive line and potentially much more competent head coaching, I think could be formidable there. And then we've got George Kittle at tight end. We might be able to sneak 3 tight ends in this build, just depending on how things go. But George Kittle is the headliner. We've now got upside at every single position here, and that feels quite good. I think the biggest misconception here is that the Chargers offense will be atrocious. It could be, obviously, I don't know the future, but Jim Harbaugh's ran really competent offenses over the years, good offenses. Yeah, they've been run heavy, but do we really think the Chargers are truly going to be run heavy game after game when it's Gus Edwards, who's like 30 years old, and Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins coming off the Achilles, and I don't know who else. I've seen reports now that Kamani Vidal might get cut. I don't know what's going on there. I don't even know who these running backs will be. I just know that Justin Herbert is your quarterback. He's probably not handing the ball off over and over and over and over again. All right, let me share my screen. We're going to be back on the clock in a few picks. And we might be able to do the fake Bills stack with Ray Davis. Ray Davis caught over 30 passes last year at Kentucky. And he's kind of like this bowling ball. He's short and he's kind of high BMI. I like Ray Davis. James Cook, they've just never trusted him at the goal line. So I'm always looking for alternatives when multiple years in a row, a team just kind of says, we don't really want to use this player in this role. I don't want to force it. So I think we could try to take a little Ray Davis here. We're on the clock in 1 pick. If we don't get Ray Davis here, we just got Ray Davis here. We're not even going to talk about it if we don't get Ray Davis here. So we've got Ray Davis. That's a fake stack with Josh Allen. We're back on the clock in 4 picks. We could take pretty Ricky Pearsall here. I've taken a lot of Ricky Pearsall. He kind of goes well with the Kittle Gibbs play here. We could also go Demario Douglas and super mega ultra stack that Chargers Patriots game. I don't really love Jahan Dotson. He's starting to slip now that he's on the Eagles. The Eagles didn't give up all that much. I believe it was a third round pick, I believe, for Dotson. Let me see. Yep, 3rd round pick with a 5th rounder. They got Dotson and a 5th. They gave back a 3rd. Cool. So basically Dotson for a 3rd, give or take. He's really blocked there. I don't think he's a very good player. I like that he's in a pretty good offense, but I think part of why that offense is so good is because Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Devonta Smith are all really good players. I think we should just take Pretty Ricky here. That's good wide receiver upside. It's correlated with Kittle, Gibbs, Pearsall feels like a very fun nucleus for that 49ers Lions game. We now have 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 7 receivers, 1 tight end. I think we're going to end up with 3 tight ends. So if we have 2 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends, that's 5. We now have 13 players left. So we're either going to go 5 running backs. So it'd be, 5 running backs, 8 receivers. That'd be a 2-5-8-3. Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to probably go 2-5-8-3. That seems like that's a likely outcome there. Or 2-6-8-2. We'll kind of see how it falls out. Let's see. We've got Allen, Herbert. Well, we're going to check the board. We're back in 14 picks. I like this Lamar Jackson team a lot in the 1 hole. That looks pretty good. The one negative is that they don't have the Texans bring back. Yikes, that Patrick Mahomes team ended up getting Hollywood Brown at round 7. That's a little intimidating. They've got CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, Kyron Williams, Patrick Mahomes, James Cook, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Hollywood Brown, Cortland Sutton, David Njoku. Yeah, that team is fine. That team looks kind of scary to me. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that looks like potential super teams. We have a team that has Tyreek Hill. Oh, God. The team out of the 3 holes really good. Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Devonta Smith, Trey McBride, Terry McLaurin. So they start off with 4 receivers and Trey McBride. They get Anthony Richardson falling to them late round 6. Then later on, they still get Tua Tagovailoa to pair with Tyreek Hill. Yikes, that's a tough team. It's a 0 RB team with Najee Harris, Chase Brown, Jalen Wright, Antonio Gibson. That's a good team. They look formidable. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else that looks quite scary so far. I'm not seeing. I think that's the scariest team right now. Yeah, I think that's. Oh, we have one team where, I'm not quite sure what this team did. They're a red badge. They have CJ Stroud, Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence, and Kirk Cousins at quarterback. That feels good. We can just X that team out, that team out out of the 6 hole. Maybe they're auto drafting. I don't know what's going on. They are not winning the $1 million with Stroud, Dak, Lawrence, Cousins. That feels good. We have a team that's Aaron Rodgers and nothing else at quarterback right now. That's getting dicey. We'll see if they can figure out their quarterback room. Oh, it's sort of a hero RB team with, wait, what the heck did this team do? They have, that team I think took too many receivers because it's kind of a hero RB team where the tight ends are Pat Freiermuth and Tyler Conklin. And the quarterback, they just have Aaron Rodgers through 14 picks. They pretty much just really only took receivers. That team's probably in trouble. See if any other teams look like they might be dead or locked out of a position. No, most of these teams, they know what they're doing. It's Best Ball Mania. You're not going to get too many weird teams here. We're about to be back on the clock. We've got 4 picks left. Let's make the most of them. We could take Isaiah Likely at tight end here. That could be kind of interesting. I've been buying the dip on Marshawn Lloyd. I don't know if he's what's going on there, but I like the Green Bay Packers. I want Green Bay Packers. We're on the clock in 2 picks. Yeah, we'll just put them in the queue so we know who we're looking at. We're looking at Likely. We're looking at Marshawn Lloyd. We're going to get one of those 2 guys, and then I think we can pivot and kind of figure out what's next there. We could also, oh my God, we could take Quentin Johnston and triple stack Justin Herbert. That's just disgusting in all the best ways. Yeah, that might happen. I've taken a lot of Quentin Johnston. All right, we're gonna take Likely here. We'll key up Quentin Johnston. Kittle, Isaiah Likely. Yeah, we probably are going to take a 3rd tight end, but it's not mandatory. Let's see. Back on the clock in a couple picks. Those are kind of the 2 guys I'm really looking at here. I also like Jonnu Smith, Dolphins tight end. He's kind of a fun pick where I could see him scoring 6, 7, 8 touchdowns. We'll sort of see how this one goes. We've got 2 picks remaining. What is the latest on Kamani Vidal? We were up in 2 picks. Should I take Kamani Vidal? Let me see if there's been a new depth chart projection. Oh, now it will, ESPN's now projecting Kamani Vidal probably makes the roster. Yikes. This is how they get me back in on this kind of kid. Is then he makes the roster. We're just going to take Quentin Johnston and be done. 8 receivers. There it is. We don't have to think about it. We have a Chargers triple stack. We love Justin Herbert. If you can't stack Bills and you swing and miss on all of them, then you triple stack Chargers to cope. So, I mean, Herbert's throwing for 1 or 2 touchdowns every week, I hope. So some of these guys have to have spike weeks. Let's just hope it's not DJ Shark or the tight end room, and that it's McConkey, Palmer, and Johnston. And then we'll hope that once again Josh Allen runs in 15 touchdowns. So we have 2 picks left. We're done at receiver. I think we're going to end up with either 5 or 6 running backs, and then we'll decide if Kittle likely is enough at the tight end room. I could kind of be swayed either way if anyone in the chat decides to weigh in what they want for the last pick. Brian Masenzo back in the chat. Larky is the best. Definitely one of the best in the business. Should we just pin this comment? We should just pin this comment. Brian, thank you. Really appreciate it. That's great to hear. Folks, any last questions? We got 2 rounds left. If you have any player take questions or anything like that, please let me know in the chat. I'm Josh Larky. This is the Dominator. It feels good to actually be back streaming again. I think most of you that are watching the stream know at this point, but I had back surgery 2.5 weeks ago. So for several weeks before back surgery, and then those first 2.5 weeks after back surgery, I couldn't sit. Pre-back surgery, I couldn't sit for more than like 15 to 20 minutes at a time before having severe pain. That's why I was doing my quick little rapid fire 10 to 15 minute episodes. Post-back surgery, I'm not supposed to sit for more than 30 minutes those first couple weeks. So that's why the shows, again, were pretty quick. It felt good to stream a Best Ball Mania draft. I haven't done a Best Ball Mania draft. I haven't ripped one of these in a few weeks. And it feels good. I think our team came together really nicely. And it feels good to just sit for 50 minutes and just hang out with the good people. We're up in 9 picks. I'll just repeat the team one more time for everyone out there, just to hear it. Josh Allen and Justin Herbert at quarterback. The running back room is Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre Stevenson, Zach Moss, Ray Davis. So Ramondre Stevenson is the bring back for Herbert, and Ray Davis is correlated with Josh Allen, the Bills. In the wide receiver room, we have Garrett Wilson, who's the bring back for Josh Allen in week 17. We also have Ladd McConkey, Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston, stacking those Chargers receivers. We've got a naked Tank. Oh, no, not naked Tank Dell. I take that back. Tank Dell and Isaiah Likely. I didn't even realize. We've got a little Texans, Ravens, week 17. Bada bing, bada boom. We've got Christian Kirk. He's naked officially. And we have Brandon Cooks, who's just out there with the Cowboys. He scored 8 touchdowns last year. Could do it again. Then we got pretty Ricky Pearsall, round 1 draft capital, the second best offensive last year with the Niners. And we've got Ricky Pearsall, George Kittle, and Jahmyr Gibbs. A lot of really fun week 17 correlation there. So there's actually, this team got really correlated. Really, the only like truly naked picks would be like a Zach Moss and Christian Kirk. Everyone else has a friend. We're back on the clock. I think it's, yikes, folks. It's time to just take Kamani Vidal and hope the team likes him. I mean, do we really think J.K. Dobbins is going to stay healthy all season? I don't know. We're just going to take Kamani Vidal. Tight end. I've been taking some Mike Gesicki. We'd always take him. Correlates with Zach Moss. I think we might do that. If we did take a 6th running back, I like Will Shipley. We could also do Audric Estime. I guess, or Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby correlates with Christian Kirk. Audric Estime correlates weirdly with Zach Moss, and we'll rule that one out. That's too much. I think we either go, do we go Mike Gesicki for the 3rd tight end with Zach Moss or get a 2nd Bengal? Will Shipley as the weird correlation with Brandon Cooks, or Tank Bigsby with Christian Kirk? I like all those options. We've got 3 picks. It's an analysis paralysis or decision fatigue. I don't know what the term is. Oh, do we really? Oh, God. Tank Bigsby just feels so gross. But then I'm like, well, correlated. I'm not super certain that Mike Gesicki is going to hold off Eric All, their new rookie tight end, this whole season. Maybe we just ride with Kittle and Likely. I think we're going to do that. Tight end score the fewest points in fantasy football. I don't really care what my tight end room does during the regular season. I just need some points. We're just going to hope week 15, 16, 17, one of Kittle or Likely does something. We're looking at Shipley and Bigsby. Bigsby's ADP is 193. We're getting him at 206. That's sort of value, sort of not. I don't know. We have Christian Kirk there. We're just going to take a sixth running back. I like the feel of this. 2-6-8-2. A lot of my builds end up being that, where we're really going heavy at the two positions that we need for fantasy points, running back and receiver. You really want those two rooms to be good. And then somehow Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, we actually have like great rooms everywhere. This is just phenomenal. Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, great quarterback room. Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre Stevenson, Zach Moss, Ray Davis, Kamani Vidal, Tank Bigsby, B+ for the running back room. We don't dislike that. 6 running back build, and we took a running back early with Gibbs. 8 receivers. I like some of these guys. I like them all. Garrett Wilson, Tank Dell, Christian Kirk, Ladd McConkey, Josh Palmer, Brandon Cooks, Ricky Pearsall, Quentin Johnston. Tight end, a bit thin, but we know spike weeks can happen from George Kittle and Isaiah Likely. I guess Mark Andrews injury and some Josh Allen goal line rush attempts. And this team is cooking. Folks, thank you very much for tuning in. Yeah, I like this. Crearth chiming in the chat. There we go. Correlating tight end 3 seems unnecessary, especially if it means Gesicki in the year 2024. I agree. That's why we went with Tank Bigsby. Direct backup. The team's been talking him up after a rough rookie season. He does have the 3rd-round draft capital from last year. We've got Kev Wheeler in the chat. Hit that like button, people. Thank you, everyone. I'm Josh Larky. This is the Dominator. Twitter's JLarky Tweets. Check out everything PlayerProfiler.com, everything Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy, the promo code is Underworld. Make sure you are checking that out and plugged into everything for draft season. Folks, I've got nothing else to say other than Josh Allen naked, Chargers triple stack, Sunday afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.